Years that I've been giving this tour, I've yet to have a tour that did not have some kind of paranormal evidence, whether it be small, big, whatever. So I'll put the mask on for part of the demonstration, so you guys can see me in that camera, right?
Yes.
And you can see the outline of my mask. So the reason, what I want you to look at here is my skin tone. So my skin tone should be orange, red, or yellow, and everything around me should be blue or black around my corners. So blue and black are the coldest areas in here. So ghosts create what? Cold or hot spots? Cold. Right. So we're looking for those blue or black spots to start moving on their own. So when you take me out of the picture, it's going to fluctuate. So it's going to obviously show more red, orange, and yellow right now. So we always want to try to keep somebody in view. It's going to be hard with just the three of us, but we can pull it off. I do it every night. So that way we have a baseline. We don't just want all red all the time.
Right.
We want to try to keep somebody intact at all times.
Okay.
So who wants to go with the thermal imaging?
Okay.
She's like, yeah, I'll take that. So you're going to hold that horizontal all night long.
Okay.
The reason for that is because it goes to YouTube.
Okay.
And then I send it back to my website, so it's all of your evidence and data is in one spot.
Okay.
So with that said, do you see the red square on your left-hand side of the screen?
I do.
That means it's recording.
Okay.
So if it turns to a circle, you're going to let me know so I can splice your video together.
Okay.
However we need to do it. Just try your best not to hit that red square.
Absolutely.
So, just don't hit the screen. It's the easiest way to say it.
Don't touch the button.
It just takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
And I've had to turn into an AV tech with this job. So, I'm not only my writer, but I'm very tech savvy as well. So spirit boxes, are you familiar with these at all?
I'm not.
Okay, so spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. So, it's basically a radio sweeper. It's going to sweep through all of the FM radio stations at a quick rate. Your TV shows, that's the annoying static, the white noise that they give you, and then Zach Bagans gives you a phrase of what he thinks he heard. Excuse us. So this one's a little bit different. First off, we're in a very metro area, which means radio stations are going to come through. I want that. I slowed it down to do that on purpose. I want the DJs, the song lyrics, and the commercials to come through. If you hear something and you can make out something clearly, whether it's a word, a phrase, a song lyric, you're going to let us know. The cool thing is even when this guy's on mute, it's still going to record at a nice even level for it. So when you get your recording tomorrow morning, there's not going to be any breaks in it. It's just going to be constant. And then radio station, you know, see where I'm going? Like, you're not going to get the dips in volume. So, and it also doesn't record our conversation.
Okay.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because now I can listen to it intentionally.
Absolutely.
And kind of take it that way. So we're going to teach you more about spirit boxes on our first location. Set it up to record real quick. So the little SD on the screen means that it's recording. You can't screw it up. You have one button. It's a wheel at the very top, which means you control the volume. Okay? So there'll be certain places where I say, let's go ahead and turn it down a little bit. I need to kind of give you some details. Or we're going to speak horses. Let's definitely turn it down. So I'll kind of give you those locations. There's a cue for it.
Okay.
So one last thing, I'm going to use something, of course, myself, because I want to make sure you guys get enough data to be able to go through tomorrow morning. Alright, so I'm going to be using a spirit box on my phone. It's going to give us a word from time to time on the screen. Okay? I'm going to turn the volume down because it's annoying. Now, this app is actually meant to be a game and a hoax. So here's what I'm going to tell you. The word list it's going to give us, like this is the last tour I did. They actually had 69 terms. It's quite a bit. I'm going to clear them out. Start you guys off fresh. 80% of this is absolute bullshit. Doesn't mean a damn thing. Okay, so it's the 5 to 20% of something that's relatable to the history, something going on with us, maybe a person I'm talking about, and I'll give you a verifiable link of why it's relevant. So I'm not going to just say, okay, it's relevant because they said the building's yellow.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a picture of this place when it was yellow.
Okay.
Just see where I'm going. So I'm not here to make things up for you guys. I'm not Zach Bagans. It's not a TV show. I'm here for your ratings on Groupon, TripAdvisor, and all the other places. So, like, again, this is going to stay on all night long. I'll pull it out, obviously, when we're in the middle of something. And kind of take it from there. I am going to pull out the EMF meter too, just so we kind of have a barometer of if something is happening around us. It doesn't record anything, but it is a nice little tool to have, at least have it out. So you guys should have seen these before on your TV shows. Now, they never explain them. They measure 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. This one is the most sensitive on the market, and it doesn't separate the 3 different types. The first one is natural, comes from the earth. That's why it's green. It's not doing anything. The next thing is going to be man-made objects, so cell phones, wiring, parking meters, those kind of things. Anything electrical is going to make this thing go into a pulse. Okay, so if my cell phone was touching it, it would be into a pulse. We want it to go crazy. We want it to go a little erratic. So I'm going to just keep this on my bag unless, well, I need 2 hands on that. Do you want to hang on to this? He's like, yeah, I'm taking it. So with that said, like that's gonna be our first indicator. It doesn't vibrate, doesn't make any noise. We just kind of keep an eye on it. And I don't get excited with one thing going off.
Okay.
So if that's going off, that means something else might be. If I have two things, then I get excited. If a phrase comes up or a word comes up and that went off, I'm good. Like, we got something.
Yeah.
So again, I always go after that proof.
Okay,
That's what I'm after.
Okay.
So,
got it.
there's lots more stuff in here, but we'll pull it out if needed. So I got like different thermometers and all kinds of things to either prove or disprove what you got going on. I got lasers so we can see the ghosts.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah, I got all kinds of mess in here. But none of that stuff records. And going through some of the data and doing all that extra research,
Yeah.
like that's honestly that's the fun part.
Yeah.
So like I was taking a tour and you hearing the stories, it's cool. But tomorrow morning you're like, man, this guy's got to put some shit together.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
I get more responses from the data that I put together for people than anything else. It's
Really?
not even so much the tour itself. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're gonna have fun. But tomorrow morning, when I start proving stuff to you, that's when I start getting text messages back.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
So, and I can't fake it. You know, it is what it is. I give everything to you raw. I only compress that audio because it doesn't fit on my website the way it comes out. Because I mean, it's 90 minutes of static.
Yeah.
So the website's, make that shit smaller. So I compress it down. So the timing might be a little bit off. So if I give you an audible where it says like marker 1 minute and 10 seconds, listen for this.
Yeah.
It might be at 1 minute 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Or 1 minute 12 seconds. It's just going to be a little bit off.
Okay.
So it just depends on your MP3 player.
Absolutely.
So we started here for a reason. Of course it is. It's haunted. So this place used to be called Big. I'm sorry. Any questions so far?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
But I'll ask as we go, I'm sure.
Yeah. So this place used to be called Big John's. Big John was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. I'm not a football guy. I have to memorize this shit. So, sorry for the language, by the way.
No, you're totally cool.
You guys are pretty hip, so I was like, I give you loose tongue tonight. Again, I'm not your typical tour guide. This ain't a script. So at any rate, he played for the Giants, and this place was named after him, and it was his. So he used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets that were coming over from the Citadel, if they were of age or not. One night, two guys come in, they're not of age. Big John tells them, bartender, get him the hell out of here. So they leave, pretty mad. They come back the next night, they're going to show Big John. They're going to steal the cash register from the front. Big John catches them, big bar brawl breaks out, a couple shots were fired. John gets shot in the neck, and the bullet ricochets off of him. He beats up two guys, goes back to his bar stool, tells the bartender, get me another beer, we'll get them an ambulance. Big John's the one that got shot.
Yeah.
And also, keep in mind, nobody died in that story. So what's haunting the place?
Yeah.
It's the bullet hole. It's still in the building. People that sit in the front of this bar can get a little sick. Headache, nauseous, queasiness, any of those things. Just not hospital sick, but enough to like, I need to go. So I bring that story up on purpose because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect anybody. I tell this to everybody, it's not to scare you because this is not a scary tour. Obviously it's very scientific. This is about, if you start to feel things, I need to know so I can move you to a safer place.
Yeah.
It's happened before. First time somebody passed out, I was in CPR class the next day. So, and it wasn't the last time that it happened. Some psychic and mediums just say no. This is too much.
Okay.
So just kind of keep that in mind. Let's get our minds off our own health, right?
All right.
So we had a big earthquake in 1886. That's good, right? So, allegedly, this is where the first death occurred from that earthquake. That's hearsay, so we're going to take it for what it's worth. The mantle that's above your heads, it also wraps around the front of the building, and a piece of that mantling broke off and struck somebody in the head, and that was the first death from the big earthquake of 1886. Now, keep in mind too, like as I tell you little stories as we go throughout town, some of that stuff links up and matches up. So like the earthquake comes up again later where I start showing you about earthquake bolts and that kind of thing. So just stay awake, pay attention. We're going to learn some history.
All right. Let's do it.
Yeah, right now. Okay. Yeah, that's, and again, it's recording for us. So even if one of Big John's teammates wants to come through, they'll give us a jersey number, their first name, something along those lines.
Gotcha.
So where are you guys staying at?
We're probably gonna go home tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a couple hour drive, isn't it?
I like 2. It's not bad. It's not too bad at all.
To just come down here for a day?
Yep. I usually work weekends, so I'm like, let's go do something.
What do you do?
I work as a DSP for an agency called United Cerebral Palsy.
Okay.
So. What? I did a little. Oh.
You got a little jolt? Good. Good. So I never know what's going to happen in this lot. Sometimes it starts over there, sometimes I wait until we leave. So, away from the vehicles. I have to give you this place. So this place is what I call the Red Barn lot. This is where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. They are in the building. So we're going to keep that spirit box to an audible level to us only, because they don't like white noise and they will start kicking. So if you want that jump scare, go right ahead and turn it up. But the only history I have on this place is this is where we kept the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So that's kind of the age that we're looking at, 1860s to 1920s. That's all I got. Whenever I'm telling you a story, I'm always going to emphasize certain words. This one is delivery, milk, Charleston. There are horses in there. So let's talk about those. They're already kicking. They're cold tonight. So let's talk about that spirit box, because we're going to all stick together. This isn't a group where I can kind of spread everybody out when I have 10 and then follow up with everybody. We're just going to stick together. But your spirit box, this isn't TV. I joke because, and I make fun of TV a lot because all that shit's fake. I'll say it's like 85% fake. At least misperceptive. So with the spirit box, it's more of a, we're going to stay away from yes or no questions, because if you say somebody here and they say no, I mean somebody's here. Second, if you heard a real estate commercial and the word houses came through, you think you heard yes. S and O in the English phonetic language are two of the most common sounds we have. So we're going to stay away from yes and no altogether. So I'm going to teach you how to rethink those questions. Okay, so what do you do for a living?
Manage a adult activity center.
Okay. Like what kind of, like for kids or?
For adults.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm always interested in what other people do. People get interested in me, and I'm like, because you know my whole life is weird. I hunt ghosts for a living and write books about death. So, so the spirit box too. We're going to start off with something very simple. We're going to go with suggestive thoughts, which isn't usually a great practice, but you guys have never done this before.
Right.
So we can all agree that the barn is red, right?
Yes.
So we're going to start off with what color is the barn, and listen for the color red. That's a suggestive thought, because you know that the color is in your brain already. You're going to try 2, 3, maybe 4 tries in 30-second intervals. If we still don't get an answer, we're going to open it up. What's inside the barn? Animals, horses, draft horses, because that's their breed, carriage, delivery, milk, calcium, protein, and eggs, because those were also delivered. That's where we kind of have to put all the clues together. So that's kind of like how this works. We're listening for those DJs and song lyrics to be able to tell us some of those clues. Now, if something goes off the rails and it says Johnny, and then we get the number 67, we might have a teammate from Big John. So again, it's not always going to be a direct answer to your question. I want you to also keep in mind too, we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces where they can actually communicate with tonight. So if we ask a question, the answer can come through your spirit box, the audio here that we don't know has already been recorded, the audio that I'm recording, and or the spirit box that I'm using. So again, it could go anywhere. That's your TV shows will put one device up at a time. I throw everything I have at it.
Absolutely.
And I got another spirit box in here too, believe it or not. It's a different type. So I have 3 different well, technically 5 different types of spirit boxes that I'll use from time to time, depending on my size of the group. But this is the way it's going to roll. And I've had EVPs come through on the audio for that. It's really cool stuff. So you never know what's going to pop up. That's why I say watch the whole thing in its entirety. By the way, I'm not going to. So far, just so you know, you're going to have at least 90 minutes there, 90 minutes there, and 90 minutes here. That's 4.5 hours. I'm not going to review all of it. I'm going to go through all of that in maybe 2 hours, and that includes upload time. Because I don't want to take away all your fun of figuring out what else is there. So that way when you do find stuff, you can email me whatever you need to do.
Absolutely.
So again, I don't do all the work for you. This is all about you guys learning stuff.
Absolutely.
So we know how to use that spirit box, but we don't know a whole lot about that.
Not a whole lot.
We want to try to keep somebody in view. So I do want to show you a video of something I actually caught with that, so you know what you're looking for.
Okay, cool.
Look at that, it tells me go. So this is how the words are going to come up on your list. And look at that, we got James. Interesting. So we'll see. Camera, we're about to talk about the camera. Nice. They're listening.
Okay.
They are listening. So I was going to show you the video. I got all distracted here. So this is actually, I skipped away. This is the next location that we're going to go to. I caught this last summer, I think it was. But it is the best evidence I have. And the people that were using the camera called me up there because they thought they saw a shadow, like out of their own eyes. And I went up there to go debunk what was happening. So that's the first thing I always do is I'm going to try to make things truthful. But this is what I found the next morning. This is a wall. See the orange? See the 2 living people walking past it? They're living. Don't get excited. Let's fast forward a little bit. Oh, take a look at this you're going to see two dead people going the opposite way past the wall. They're going to show up right about there. Boom, boom.
Oh, wow.
So I sent this over to mechanics and firemen, and they tell me what's going on. It was a vehicle. They're like, Nick, that's legitimate paranormal evidence. So we've never seen anything like that.
Got you. So I kind of know what I'm looking for.
Right. You want those black and blue spots to start moving on their own.
Okay.
So, again, we want to try to keep somebody in view. And by the way, even that video I just showed you, there was always a person in view.
Okay, so let me set the stand, like kind of.
However you want to go. But again,
okay.
So she's like, I don't want to be on camera.
I'm just trying to see if I can get you guys in view.
Let's turn that spirit box up a little bit. I mean, your thing's going absolutely crazy. Keep going a little bit. There we go, right there. So what do you want to know? Oh, wait, let's start it off with the red question. Come on, it's all about you. What color is that barn? Somebody's here with us. Tell us what color the barn is.
Yeah. What's inside of the barn?
Well, let's give it a little bit of time to muster up the energy to try to tell us what color the barn is. There's the way. That farm. Anger. What's inside that barn? We got two boxes you can talk to. The one with the blue and green light and the one with the red light. So you'll notice too, the terms that I use when I'm trying to communicate, it's not device, it's not the name of the gadget. I wouldn't even say gadget. Some of these people that we're going to try to talk to tonight are from the 1700s. They have no idea.
Yeah.
They know because I'm here every night and I get reactions out of them, but I still use box with a specific colored light. They use terms that would have been relevant even back then. So box, blue, light. Those three terms all make sense to whoever I'm trying to communicate with. Doesn't matter what time period they're from. Anything weird going on in there?
Not yet. And if it is, I missed it.
And that's okay. Again, most of the time, I'll be honest, like the things I do catch in there, the camera person didn't even know that they caught it.
Right, that they caught it.
Yeah. So it's like, just hold the phone all night. Just keep it horizontal. Like, you don't even have to watch it all night, because it can be a little daunting staring at those colors.
Okay, I'm trying to...
My spirit box isn't doing anything either. My spirit box isn't doing anything either. It's still on camera. But we have the gist of how the tools work, right?
Yeah.
You guys ready to go on some real history?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and turn that down. Let's take a break this way. I hate to disturb things.
I'll let you guys go ahead of me.
I have only one week left where I'm doing a 7 o'clock and a 9 o'clock tour. So they'll already be gone like after next week. Like by the time I start my 9 o'clock, like they're already gone home. So, when you found me on Groupon, did you find that through any other website and it took you to Groupon, or you just were searching through Groupon?
I searched tours on Groupons, and you were like it was like the trending, and it was like at the top of the list.
Yeah, that's me. Well, that's almost by default because there's really not a whole lot of those tours on there. At least some of the bigger ones that we have in town aren't on there. A lot of the private guys like you. That's good. Right. Hide now. It says hide now. So they've never done a dig here. So there's no line, like no electrical lines underneath us. Just so you guys know. Let me fix this bag. So you're gonna see I love parking lots. Why? Because it gives us a little bit of a room to explore.
Yeah.
I've been criticized for that, but I also take you to places that have historical reference, historical points where you can't, and most ghost tours are sightseeing.
Yeah.
Ghost hunting gets dirty, so it's not always a place where you can see. So let me tell you what's going on here. So this is actually home to the Charles and Eliza Pinckney mansion. So Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. So that's a pretty big deal, but I hate politics, and it's election year and all that mess, so we're going to move on. Eliza married Charles at a young age. By the way, this is where that video I showed you occurred up in that corner.
Oh, wow.
So if I were to have a grand finale, this place would be it.
Okay.
There's a lot of activity here. I got really cool EVPs out of this place too, so I had stuff from your spirit box, mine, all the different ones that I've used. But anyway, so Eliza married Charles pretty young, and he wasn't, because her father was over in England and he thought he was dying. And he wanted all his kids home. She didn't want to go. She got married, she stayed here. Father got better, so Eliza was right. She didn't think he was dying to begin with. And by the way, this is the only way in and out. So let's get us all over this way. There's only one entrance and exit. So with that said, Dad gets better. He starts sending over gifts because he's still pretty proud of Eliza. You know, she's in the States, she's doing well. She got married, and she married, you know, a congressman, basically. So one of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. Indigo was already here from our Gullah culture. Okay, so our slaves that we had in this state were already familiar with indigo. It's a plant that makes blue dye, that makes your blue jeans blue. You're wearing it right now. So, pretty cool.
Yeah.
But she had slaves already that knew how to cultivate it in our weird temperatures. So she kind of capitalized on it. They taught her things. She learned from it. So they started it here, where her garden was over on that side, and they had to move it because it became a cash crop. Huge cash crop. And they moved it over to Mount Pleasant, which is too far from it. They had a land over there too. So with that said, Eliza was a businesswoman in colonial times, which is something that is unheard of. So very, very big. So the mansion was in the front. The garden was over there and kind of stretched across, and we're standing where the servant quarters would have been for the house. Okay, so I don't have anything here that I can prove. A lot of folks like to try to contact the servants and slaves that live on the property, but I can't prove anything. So Eliza does mention some of her servants from time to time. I get a name here and there in some of her letters. I can't really prove who they were. I can't prove the job they had. I can't prove anything. So there's just no record, unfortunately. So we're gonna have Charles tonight. Yeah, got the word Republican. Charles was a Republican.
Yeah.
So again, he likes to pop in from time to time. He'll give us his birthday, thing with a Republican. I don't know that they had a dog. The word dog just popped up. So I don't know that they had a dog. But at any rate, could be part of the 80% BS. Eliza is a very prominent person and nobody ever talks about her. Well, they do, but it's in books. No tour is going to tell you about her. Let's see, there's a lot of weird things about Eliza. She was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. So Charles really screwed that one up.
Bad.
Both Elizas go by their maiden name, Eliza blank Pinckney. Both maiden names start with the letter L. That's all I'm going to tell you. This is a place where it's not like the Red Barn where you know the answer. Hopefully your spirit box will, or hopefully it'll pop up here. You never know. So Eliza, if we can ask what age she was when she got married and what the age gap was between her and Charles. That's a good question. You can ask anything we want to about Eliza's death. She will tell you how old she was, what did she die from, where did she die, where is she buried, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So these are all questions that I've gotten the answers to in the past. So I'm trying to think what else. You can also ask what happened to the mansion. You can pretty much ask anything you want to. Eliza's life is pretty much an open book, so I can always look and see, improve whatever's there. And if we actually get a name where it doesn't make sense to me, that's when I kind of start digging through her letters and see if it was one of her servants or something like that. It has happened. And I hope you guys don't mind me being talkative about slavery.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I mean, it's past. So, believe it or not, I've had somebody say, "Can you stop talking about slavery?" I'm like, "We're in South Carolina."
Okay.
It was one of those.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, look, if you're offended by it, I'm sorry, but
yeah, I mean,
we
it's
don't practice
like,
it today. It's just part of the history.
It is.
So
very prominent part.
I'm a history teacher, basically. So with the spirit box, let's kind of move around a little bit because it seems like we're getting a little bit of a crowd over here.
Okay.
I don't like to kind of get too much in people's way. So what are those questions you want to ask?
What's your question, Lloyd?
Okay, let me see. You said about the who was the pallbearer?
The president. Yep.
What president? I think
yeah, go ahead and turn that thing up.
Who was the pallbearer at the which president was the pallbearer at the
You can turn it up a little bit here. You got a little bit.
What was one of the servants' names? Ask her something, babe.
You're getting some red going on there. Eliza brought some new friends tonight. Let's start off with something simple. How many people did I bring with me?
What's going on?
Still want to move you guys up so yeah.
Funny they mentioned the NFL, huh?
How many people did I bring with me? An average number. A lot of my groups lately have been in groups of 2. So we'll take that for what it's worth. I can't really prove it, but I'm looking for a definitive number, Eliza. Give me a number. Eliza, how many people did I bring? Don't count me. So a lot of times I'll do that when I have everybody spread out and I'm using my own spirit box. Somebody will turn around and say, "I just heard 7. How many people are on the group?" 7. Yeah, it's because I asked how many people did I bring with me. I was 100 yards away from you. I do it all the time. Just to
so
prove
when
a
it
point.
comes through on there, does that on there? Because when you did ask, I mean, I could be just tripping. Michael Jackson came on and was like, "Don't stop to you," and it changed after the 2.
Yeah. So.
And then when you asked about who was the pallbearer, it said something about a congressman or something. It didn't say a name, but it just made.
Yeah, like as soon as you asked, that Michael Jackson song came on, "Don't stop to," and then it switched off. I don't know if that means any significance, but.
So, For example, the Red Barn question.
Yeah.
During holiday time, there's Christmas stations, right?
Yeah.
So what color is the Red Barn? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
I don't need Rudolph the Nosed Reindeer.
Right.
I need red.
Red.
And it gave it to me. So
Yeah.
I took it. That's a prominent answer to it.
Yeah.
Because again, that thing slowed down. It's gonna pick up words before and after.
And it did. And it said, don't stop to, and then it switched off.
Okay, so Eliza, we'll kind of take that, and of course we have it recorded. So
Yeah.
we can go back and verify.
Definitely.
We're gonna watch out of these waves.
Okay, yeah, we don't want to.
We don't want to make ghosts.
Okay.
We don't create ghosts. Here.
Exactly right. That's not what we look for.
So Eliza, we want to know more about the president that took you to your grave. Who is the pallbearer? We know you like to brag on that a little bit. Man, you are really up there. I'll even take just the first name. Eliza, who was the president that was a pallbearer at your funeral? Also has the same first name as your father. Eliza. They're staring out a window. That's interesting.
That's what it said?
I heard staring out a window. Alright, Eliza, let's move on to another question. What happened to the mansion that was here? Wow.
What happened? Oh wow, that thing is going.
And that thing is like this again. This is one of my big hot spots. At times, that won't do anything.
Oh wow.
Not often, but at times it'll just be dead as a doornail.
It's still popping today.
Oh. Eliza, what happened to the mansion?
It is like all the way up.
I can't even say that that's a rhythm. Normally if it just stays on one light,
yeah,
I can say that's a rhythm, but that's all the way up and it's still flashing around. Like that's pretty nuts. So let's just kind of verify what that reading is because I have an EMF on my phone too. So 39 to 45 is about average. So high on sensitivity. I mean, a smartwatch isn't going to make it up so that high, even if you have it on. It's not coming from the ground. House. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm. I will too.
Come on, Eliza, tell us what happened to your beautiful mansion that was here. Let it go. You can talk about something else? Charles, you gave us your political party. Can you tell us what your job was? Charles, Pinkney, tell us what your job was. What was your title? A lot coming through, because none of it makes sense.
It did die down a little bit, but then it went back up.
Charles Pinkney, tell us what your title was. Questions you want to ask? Sorry, I just kind of took over.
No, you're fine. I'm just listening. I'm just trying to be so hyper vigilant. Like, wasn't?
So I'm trying to listen to everything that comes through my hair.
So you have to imagine, I listen to this thing every morning.
Yeah.
So it's like the first thing I listen to. I throw the headphones on, you know, because it's obviously gonna be like clear. I can turn up, you know, everything else.
Liza, that's her name, right? Mm-hmm. What color did you wear at your funeral?
Liza, that's a great question. What color did you wear at your funeral? Not getting much. So you see the light that's blinking on the back of that restaurant over there? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my barometer. Usually, like, if it's blinking really fast or bright, I know I'm going to probably have good activity here. And it'll normally go in sync with whatever the EMF meter is doing. It's weird because you can almost hold it up like you're going to take a selfie and you get a blink here, then a blink there. It gets a surge. So, and I've videotaped it to test it. Even though we have stuff here, and we just might not be able to hear it.
Yeah, of course.
So, let's go over some of those answers and kind of give you the gist of how this actually works. So, of course, I know what all those answers are because I've gotten the answers. Eliza died at the age of 70. You can go ahead and turn it down. She died at the age of 70 while in Philadelphia. She was up there apparently either on business or to get her breast cancer treated. Mm-hmm. That's what she died from. So cancer, that was actually a question we asked last night. We got a definitive answer. So, Eliza, what did you die from? Cancer shows up. Like, okay, awesome, thanks. Like, my guests were like, holy cow. I'm like, that's just how this rolls.
Yeah.
So, she is also buried up in Philadelphia. She's not even buried here. So, that kind of eggs on the question of why don't we go through cemeteries, hence the name of the tour. You're walking through one. Like, Charleston's one giant cemetery.
Hell
And if you were dead, are you going to hang out where you're buried? Probably not. So, I don't get a whole lot of activity in cemeteries. When I do, it's exciting. I check them out obviously because of the history and the ages and see how things are being preserved, but that's just my nerdiness in me. But let's see, what else did I have you guys ask? The mansion caught fire in the Great Fire of 1861, so the only photographs of this place are after the fire. And that was long after Eliza's death. The house was just still in the family. So let's see what else.
Asked who was
the president? So that was George Washington. So that tells you how important this lady was. Her husband was a governor. There was only 13 colonies, which means there was only 13 governors. So when George Washington comes to Charleston, obviously he's being entertained by the Pinckneys, and he knew everything that Eliza had done for the colonies with her indigo.
Right.
So you kind of take that. You got rent. That's interesting. Nice. Major. That Republican is prominent. That's exciting to me. It just tells me that Charles is here too. What else did I have you ask?
I did ask what color.
Oh yeah. So the pictures of Eliza all have her in a blue dress. Blue at the time, if you think of the British in their wool that they wore all blue or purple. So that's why it's royal blue. It comes from indigo. That's where the term comes from.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even the Civil War. So the Civil War, even the gray coats, which would have been us Southerners down here, those were still made out of indigo. So it's just not as much indigo to make it as dark blue as the Northerners.
Are you cold?
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm freezing.
Feel my hand. I am extremely warm, and I don't even understand why. Do you feel that? No, I'm like super like warm. Am I lying? My hand's been out the whole time.
My hands are cold.
My hand's almost numb. So I don't feel it.
I have to take that EMF from you, and then like I have extras of these if you want to put some in your pocket.
Oh, to keep your hands warm, bro.
Yeah. It's just a Charleston trick. Let me take that EMF. We'll slide it in here. That's this guy. That way we can still see it.
I was trying to figure out why I wasn't as cold.
I'm freezing.
I'm not. Maybe because I'm holding this.
Blue?
I don't know. I don't know.
On the bag.
So you can see that. I always keep extras because I get kids on the tour too.
Oh
so
yeah.
I always have extras.
I'm over here looking for little blue heads
There's a little
moving.
tear up here, so what you do is there's one on each side. So one up here, one down here. You pull one out of each side, and then you shake it, and then it'll get warmer. In like 5 minutes. Super
Thank
cool.
you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Y'all use these.
My wife came up with that for me because, as you can imagine, as a writer, the carpal tunnel's coming.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
my hands, like every morning, they're numb. I gotta wait.
Absolutely.
You know, get them woke up. So, can you see it?
I can't see it.
You struggling with that?
See if I can see it.
My phone, I don't even know where my phone is. You got my phone back? Okay.
There's one. Pull that out of there, shake it up, and I'll open up the other side. Yeah, my wife came home with these, and she's like, "You need to put these in your pocket." I'm like,
Right.
And then I started putting them in my gloves because I'm out here in 30-degree weather.
Yeah.
So there's the second one for you.
Listen, and my hands are not right now.
Yeah, my hands are going
Yeah,
down.
my hands are cold. But
Yeah.
that's my blood flow. It's
I
just
mean, no,
oxygen.
like I was just freezing cold walking down here. I don't know why. I don't know. Like I'm not freezing.
Yeah, that's why my hands go in my pockets a lot of times because that's where because I have gloves that have the fingers.
Yeah, but
cut off.
I figured mine would be cold because I'm sitting like this, like there's nothing covering it. I'm just wide open.
Well, not to mention your hands are raised, which means the blood is flowing the opposite way. So you should be cold if you're not.
So that what that mean?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know.
So my own investigations, I have a smaller bag that I keep. The spirit box you're using just stays in my pocket on mute, so that way I can listen to the recording later. That camera you're holding goes in a cargo pocket where the camera is just sticking up and nobody knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or it goes in here where the camera is just sticking out like a GoPro.
Yeah.
And then I have the EMF kind of in my pocket. I can check it from time to time. But I have all of these devices running whenever I go to visit places, just like y'all do, and nobody knows what the hell I'm doing. I went to Fort Sumter, and of course I loaded down my wife too. I'm like, here, put this in your purse.
Oh
Just
yeah,
let
that's
it
a big
record.
deal though.
But obviously this guy's running too. I can just take this off and put it on my other bag.
Yeah.
So when I go to these museums and whatever, that's just how I do it. Let's see what else goes on here. So that says no. Whale, rather no. So hopefully the word governor came up because Charles was a governor, and his party was Jeffersonian Republican. I don't know where the Jeffersonian portion of it came from, but that's the party he was part of. Desert. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So what happens from here is we're going to walk up 4 blocks to the next haunted location. Again, kind of point out a few things along the way. If you have questions about things that you see, just ask. If I can answer it, great. If not, I'm not going to make stuff up.
Yeah.
So if I don't know, I don't know.
Absolutely.
So you can keep filming, or you can just kind of hold a cell phone along the way.
Okay, I'll probably just keep it out here just in case, so we can kind of just see.
Yeah. So I mean, most people just kind of hang on to it like they're holding their phone. The EMF is going to go crazy because of the parking meters, so you can pretty much ignore it until we get to our next location and kind of take it from there. What I'm listening for when we get to our next location right here to there are names. So, and I'll tell you why when we get there. So when it's considered a quiet area, so we'll be kind of brief. I'll kind of give you the history as we're walking through it. Like we won't stop like what we did here. But it doesn't help for me to help them. What stuff has to take number 2. Notice you got them boots on. It's okay.
Sorry.
You're fine. So it's the guy that gives me 35 videos and doesn't tell me is when I wake up in the morning and go, man, that's like 3 hours of extra work.
Yeah, no, it just happened. I promise.
Yeah, 2 videos, not a big deal. It's like an extra 10 minutes.
So sorry.
35. I've had it happen. I'm not making this stuff up. Like I don't exaggerate things.
I could, yeah. Like as soon as it happened, I said something. Like something went wrong.
And don't pay any attention to the timer on there either, because sometimes like you flip it by accident or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
All that.
We're putting a billboard out on Spring Hits Hard. And I got a festival I'm doing in April. Over in Mount Pleasant, but they call it a punk fest. So it's all basically punk kids that are all into this. They called me and said, we want you to come and put a table up.
Oh, I bet.
And they're like, you're going to have a line. Be prepared. So I was like, all right. So,
let's do it.
I was taking that weekend off. My daughter's coming down to help.
Oh, that's going to be super dope.
I got to set them up tablets so that they can sell tickets. My daughter's usually on the tour when she's down
Oh,
here.
sweet.
Thank you.
It's funny, and half this stuff used to be hers.
Really?
So I walked away from a 6-figure income to the done with retail. Like, done, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
And I looked at her and I said, Dad needs this shit back.
Give it back now.
She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, go get me all your ghost hunting equipment. We need to come up with a plan. So here we are 2 years later.
But it's working.
And thriving.
Yeah. I was interested.
Well, the wife is involved too. Like the logo that you guys saw.
Yeah, she did that.
That's what she does.
Pretty dope.
So she also does all the photography work for me. So when I'm working on a blog post and a podcast episode, she's there with her gear. She puts all the stamps on everything for the
Okay.
graphics. Yeah.
It's a family thing.
Yeah. She does all of my book covers.
Yeah.
Like she does all that. Like I do all the publishing. She does the book covers and designs everything for me. I give her the
That's pretty
idea.
dope.
She sends me 3 or 4 things. We talk about them. She tweaks them. And that's like thousands of dollars saved.
Absolutely.
People don't realize how much it actually costs to run a
Oh,
book.
I can
to publish a
imagine.
book.
I'm sure that's not cheap. By no means.
Well, when you have to outsource things, like I got friends that edit things up for me. I do all the formatting. I do that. So I don't have to pay somebody to do that. That's $1,000. Book covers done right. I do anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000. Done the right way. By the way, this is where the original Charlestown wall would have been. It ran up this way, and then down, it was on the opposite side of the street. So it went that way and then up this way.
Oh, wow.
And I bring that up because we're going to talk a lot about that as we go up and around, and because we're going to go up this street after we go through that alley. It'll all make sense when we get up there.
Gotcha.
But I like to point out, hey, this is where the original Charlestown was. Where'd y'all park at?
We had oh my goodness. We had one on a carriage tour prior, so we paid for all-day parking, so it's not that far from here.
That's the street where we end up at.
Sweet.
You know what street you're parked on? So I can at least give you the direction.
I was here, I think, like meeting.
Well, meeting is a long way. I'm trying to think of that side street we were on. That's a good question. Oh crap, where are we? By Pennant? What is it? Pickney? Okay. That's okay. Yeah, because we did walk all the way down. Yeah, so that probably is right. Yep, that's what it sounds like.
I'll know how to get to the car.
Oh, you will? Okay. Well, good. I gotta see one of y'all.
This is Lodge Alley. The building to our right is Lodge Alley Inn. It's obviously named after this. This is one of our first streets in Charleston. So, obviously I told you where the Charlestown wall was.
Yeah.
So this runs parallel with it, with that wall. You can see it's wide enough just for a horse and buggy.
Mm-hmm.
But people used to live here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right here.
These two buildings weren't here. Little shotgun houses. So you can shoot a shotgun through the front, it'll go out the back. The cool thing is that I have the full list of every person that's ever lived down here and their occupation.
Oh, wow.
There wasn't much. But I usually get the names Benjamin and John. So during the recording on that, I'm listening for all of those different types of names to see what comes up. So they did do an archaeological dig here. You guys here from South Carolina, you should know the smell of low tide by now.
I'm from Cleveland, but still.
What's ahead?
I'm from Cleveland.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I used to live, I'm originally from Youngstown.
Oh, sweet.
And I lived in Cleveland for a while.
What part?
I lived in Independence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know where that's at. I stay in the Crown Royal. What is it called? It's a Crown something over there in Independence, over there by
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Brexville Road.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So
that's when I stay at.
Romano's Pizza.
Yep.
I lived above it.
That's sweet. Look at there.
So do you remember Tower City?
Of course. Come on now.
So
Of course I
down,
know.
what was the name of the subway system again?
It's called RTA.
Yeah, but it had a nickname.
Rita. Let me see.
No.
It's not the subway. It's called the Rapid.
Yes.
Yes.
So do you know where you used to go to the Rapid inside Tower City?
Yes.
And there was a music store.
Yes.
Across the
I
way,
do.
with the big 57 Chevy in the front.
Mm-hmm.
I used to run the movie store in the back.
Look at there. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was actually
Wow,
and I was
interesting.
also a music teacher in Independence. There was a little music shop right across the street from Romito. So when I was done at the store,
You would go over there.
I would go over there and teach the kids to get them ready for competition.
That is crazy.
Yep.
Well, it's nice meeting you.
I'm not done yet.
I'm just saying, I'm like, geez,
Yeah, it's a
the
small
tables have circled.
So a lot of my Southerners actually ask me to slow down because I talk so fast, and I lose podcast listeners because they say I talk too fast. It's
Well,
like, you
I
can control
understand.
the speed of my voice through a podcast, right?
Right, slow it down.
So, but the reason why I say low tide, coming back to that, all of the buildings that we have on the peninsula weren't there. So the smell of low tide would have been coming through here all the time. So these were not high class people; these were lower class people.
Right.
They did do an archaeological dig in between the clay bricks that we're walking on, which, by the way, handmade, hand laid. None of them are the same size, shape, and none of them are spaced properly. But they did find some of their tools and their silverware.
Under there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they did confirm some of these bricks were burnt on the underside, so there must have been some fires down here
Yeah.
too. So if names do pop up, you actually get. Like I'll give you the full report and tell you what pages to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So. Pretty cool stuff. That a lot of stuff happened down in his alley. It's been here forever. So
Right.
Back in 1680s, 1690s. And I mean, that's the people that lived here 1800s, 1790s, 1800s early is when that all started.
Right.
So The Masons also used to meet down here.
Oh, okay. It's a lot of those down here.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a lot just on like the tours, just walking past. You know, people they represent, so you can see it. So there's a lot of them down here.
Yeah. Yeah, they used to meet down here before there were residences down here. A lot of cool stuff. And I like the pictures, because there's a camera in here too. So when I have people take pictures, there's always light anomalies that show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I send it over to the wife because that's what her part of the tour is. She looks at the photography for me. She can debunk it based on whatever the camera is or the phone. So her day job, she works for Best Buy, and she's the cell phone manager. So being in photography and the cell phone manager, she knows every damn camera phone. So when somebody sends me a picture, my first question is, what type of phone is it? Certain types of phones have little quirks to them.
Yeah, of course. That'll
make things happen in pictures. So we can usually debunk things pretty quickly, but we can also prove things quickly too.
Absolutely.
So we're going to walk through the rest of this alley, but we are going to be cutting through a neighborhood, just so you guys know. Tour guides are not allowed to be tour guides in neighborhoods, so we're going to be three friends with crazy gadgets.
There we go.
Just kind of chit-chatting until we get to our next stop. And this kind of gives you a gist of some of the housing down here too. Have you guys ever been here before?
Yeah, but not really like this.
Kind of like passing.
Yeah, not to this capacity.
Yeah,
like
you got an
visiting
appointment
and
or something down here.
yeah.
Hotel has a claim of a ghost, but none of them give me free rooms to verify it.
Oh, really?
So I gotta start paying for those. Look at that, perfect time. It's all for your audio, so you know you were in trouble. When my hand's working out for you?
It's getting there.
Just gotta keep like shaking them up there. I play with them, all night long. They work really well in the palms of your gloves.
Yeah. Somebody gave me one. Playing Coach People. And we were at a tournament sometimes, just like winter and the spring, but we get really cold tournaments. And I was at a tournament, it was so cold and people brought out portable gas, like little heaters, like we were freezing out there. And somebody gave me one. So I was like, oh, I didn't know you
They
did.
make these for They make them for, like, there's a specific type of Coke for hunters. They make them nice and big. There's some that actually charge off of like the portable chargers we use for our phones and stuff like that. I don't know. Are you stopping for us? Oh. No,
Maybe not. Maybe? Oh, they was turning. We over here waving. Thank you. You better get hit.
They got to say it. You don't know what you're doing.
Wink at us. Wink. I don't care.
Got your phone?
No, I just want to make sure the kids didn't call us. Nope, they don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, usually when I say from Ohio, most of my guests are from up north. I get Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, I get a lot in New York. They don't think I talk fast at all.
Yeah, no. I understand every single thing you were saying.
Every time she mentions she's from Ohio.
Yeah. Oh, I was from, this girl was like, I'm from Mentor. I'm like, oh, that's East.
I'm from Columbia, so I'm just standing there. Like, oh, yeah, that's great.
This is crazy. Everybody knows. Okay.
I was actually I always try to like look at the dynamic. Like, what are you guys doing for each other? Just friends? Girlfriends? Like, what's the deal?
That's my baby. I love her.
You never want to assume anything.
You're right. I totally get it. Thanks for asking.
I never want to assume anything. Because a lot of times if I get, a family,
Yeah.
I hate to assume that they're actually mom and dad.
Right.
Sometimes they're aunt and uncle.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I always ask, what's the dynamic? What am I looking at here?
Absolutely.
Oh, you guys, especially if I got a kid, I'm like, you gotta help dad out. You gotta help Uncle Joe out. That way.
So let me tell you about this experience I did when I was about like 14. So, and this is why this also isn't so far-fetched for me. Like I am very aware that there is something bigger than us out here. That's another reason why I'm super interested. Let them walk past. Let's not get all crazy. But my mom she used to go see psychics a long time ago. And she brought this thing called a psychic door home. You ever heard of that?
Psychic what?
Psychic board.
I have a spirit board. Is this similar?
This is similar. So pretty much, I'm pretty sure it is. So it's not a Ouija, but like before you actually start doing it, you're supposed to say like a
prayer.
Yeah. And you're supposed to visualize that the white light is surrounding everybody. And
I use mine all the time.
And see, I stopped because I got scared. And but we are very aware that there's something else out here. We got that. So the thing is, it actually told me when I was about to go on labor with my son. And I want to say that I was talking to my dad because we don't really know who I was talking to. I want to assume that's who it was. That's who I was, you know, calling out when I was asking to speak to him. And yeah, when I had my son in the hospital, something came on the board and told my aunt, like, you better burn this or you about to open up the gates of hell. So she burned it. She did. Let me say, my aunt's passed away now. Now my other aunt ended up buying the game again, and she's dead. So every single aunt that has had that my mother brought it into the family. She's still alive, but everybody that has had that game in the house has passed on.
You don't burn it.
Yeah, so but that's what it told her to do.
You're actually supposed to break it into 7 pieces and bury it.
Something came on that board, and she told me because she was talking to her quote unquote children. And because she had abortions and she wanted to talk to her kids in that other life, and something came up and told her, like, you need to get off this board. Mind you, right before that, it told me that I was about to go on labor with my son, my dad. That's why I say that because I don't know, but I did. He was like, watch Krystle while she goes to the bathroom. All night they're watching me while I go to the bathroom. That next morning I used the bathroom, my water broke, and I had my son that day. This is on my right hand. I would not make this up. But as I'm in the hospital, my aunt played it again, and something told her, like, you need to burn this or you're about to open up the gates of hell. And so she burned it. 5 years later, she's dead.
They tricked her. But they did.
Yep.
So I bring you here, and we're going to be here briefly only because this is a hot tour spot. There's a sign right inside this cemetery that says there's no ghost here, but at St. Philip's, besides the Holy Ghost, there's a reason for that. There was a young lady that died 6 days after her stillborn child in 1888. Her name was Susan Howard Hardy. Sue Howard Hardy. Sorry, if I call her Susan, she corrects me. So Sue Howard Hardy died 6 days after her stillborn child. Now, 1987, we have a local photographer in town, exactly 99 years later. He's taking pictures of all of our cemeteries for his book or project or whatever he's working on. He captures a full apparition of a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her over that grave. 1987, no cell phones, no Photoshop, nobody can debunk the picture. So he sends it to Kodak. So they can't debunk the picture either, because that's what you did back then. You didn't know what was going on. You contact the filmmakers. They had no clue. I don't show the picture, and it's just weird that we were talking about you going into labor. Ladies that hold it are not going to feel well. Kind of like the same symptoms I told you about at Big John's. Pregnant ladies that are holding it are not going to have a good pregnancy. So take that for what it's worth. I'm not showing you that picture. You're going to look it up on your own. You know what the name is. It's on your audio. So again, the other tours love to stop here and kind of go into detail, but the only thing I'm going to point out for y'all is if you come over here, you can see a gas lamp burning up in the distance.
I want to get you that. Yep,
see that one?
I do.
So we can't go up there because it's residential, but I am going to point out a story about that gas lamp house. This is kind of your legends and lore portion of your tour. I had to rearrange my tour. Let me show you why.
Yeah.
Did y'all see that wall back there in the distance?
Yeah, I do. Straight ahead, past that second light. Yep.
So that is actually Philadelphia Alley.
Yeah.
And that's where the duels used to occur back in the 1800s in Charleston. So the doorway that y'all see, the big opening in the middle of the wall.
Yep.
If there was a death, because most duels do not end in death. Do not take that misnomer. They did not end in death because most of the time the gun was shot in the air.
Right.
Just to prove a point. The dead guy, if there was one, would come through that door, over this courtyard, over to the cemetery where we just looked at, and they would go celebrate the winner. Their grave would already be pre-dug.
Oh, wow.
So that's why that doorway is there. We don't go down Philadelphia Alley anymore. That's where I used to take my guests. It turns into a residential area. I would cut through, just kind of like what we did with the other area, and take you to the last location. However, we got new neighbors. So they put a stop to that real quick.
Yeah.
Now, Philadelphia Alley is the most beautiful spot we have here in Charleston. So if you want to see it, well, you guys are leaving tonight. I'll give you a link with all the pictures. That's a beautiful day or night. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the story there is really cool. But we're going to see where this tour goes, and then we're probably going to head across the street so I can tell you the rest of the places, like about that gas lamp house that I showed up, pointed out. And what I do want to point out, from here at least, is that there's two sides of the cemetery. This side is for native Charlestonians. That side's for everybody else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
it's separate. You can actually go walk that during the daytime, and John Calhoun is buried there. So you probably already know that the Calhoun monument was taken down.
I know very much about him.
So they took down his big giant statue over in Marion Square.
Yeah.
They did find a time capsule. I don't know if you heard about that.
I haven't.
So the Calhoun monument was something that I was working on with a puzzle, a treasure hunt that's going on here in town. And that was part of my solve. So I was on the fence of whether they should keep it up or not. It's like, damn it, I need it for my solve, but I know it needs to come down.
Yeah.
You know, just so forth and so on. But they did find a time capsule in there that actually has documents from that time period.
Oh, interesting.
And there's money in there from that time period. A cannonball from the Revolutionary War. And a lock of Calhoun's hair is in there. So they did find a time capsule. They weren't even sure if it was actually there or not. They were going on speculation from the newspaper article. And they did find it, and all the boxes hopefully are going to be cracked open soon. They opened up the big cask with everything in it, but there are little tin boxes that were soldered shut. So now they got to carefully cut through those to bring out the contents. So I'd be interested to see what those contents are and if it's true.
Interesting.
What it does is it gives a merit to old newspapers for me. So when I find old articles and I'm telling you stories about them, you know what I mean? Like I have a little bit more background, like, hey, this shit actually happened. So it's so I'm very in tune with what's happening with that time capsule. But looks like he's going to stay on that side of the street, so that's cool. We're going to actually head over this way. And it's a parking lot. So we're actually right on the other side of the cemetery. And right past that was the gas lamp house that I showed you. And that house is actually called the Pirate House. You can't miss it. It has a big anchor on the front of it. Somebody lives there. Don't go in his backyard. I just say that from experience. So, a lot of history there. So the pirate house is where Blackbeard's men would come off their ships and they would actually go have a drink, meet with a few ladies, and then they dug a tunnel from the pirate house underneath the streets over to Dock Street Theater, which at the time was a hotel that had prostitution. So you can imagine why they were going there. But there's that hotel was called Planters, and there's a tie to the church. There's a ghost story there. Because in Dock Street Theater, there's two different ghosts. First one, I'll tell you, is Junius Booth, father of John Wilkes Booth, who shot Lincoln in a theater. Junius Booth was just a traveling actor during the time, and they used to host plays there too. There was a stage and so forth and so on. But this was the same time period that Edgar Allan Poe's mother was a child actress here in town. So there's a lot of ties with Edgar Allan Poe in Charleston. The story of Annabelle Lee actually occurred here. Annabelle Lee is allegedly buried in Unitarian Church underneath two different marked graves because her father did not want Edgar to find her after he came back from the army. So, interesting story there. We don't pass that place up. So anyway, the other ghost is a young lady that used to work here at the church. Now this is our tallest steeple. This is St. Philip's. And by the way, the earthquake I told you all about, I told you things kind of reoccur here. It is off from that earthquake, just a hair. It no longer sits perfectly 90 degrees. Just an interesting fun fact. So, she worked here. Nobody wanted to marry her at the ripe old age of 23. She was 23. Ripe age for marrying was 17.
Right.
Nobody wanted it. She sees the prostitution happening down there at Planters. So she buys a red dress, she goes down there, she gets a job. She's the best loved girl in the place, but no, she's still not happy. It's not what she wanted. So she just didn't want to be used like that. So she used to go out to the second story balcony and look back at the church, think about coming back. Well, one night the priest sees this and he goes down to talk to her. Storm rolls in, lightning strikes the rod iron banister that she's leaned on, and it kills her. Now, you can see her ghost from the knees up only. Why is that? Because we did renovations to Dock Street Theater in the early 2000s, and we raised the first floor ceiling. So she's walking on the floor that she knows.
Okay, because it's not there any longer. Right. Because they raised it. Yeah.
Again, this is the first floor down here. Yeah. Second floor up here. We raised that first floor ceiling, so she's walking on the original floor.
Exactly right.
From the knees up. And also so you can see her apparition in color, which is odd. Because apparitions, when we think of them, are usually misty, ghost, white, kind of things. It's never a red color. So take that for what it's worth. I don't have any actual evidence of any of those stories. I do get some weird EMF. Didn't really catch anything in photographs when I was there. I didn't have the cool spirit box that you're using. I probably need to go back and see what I can capture. So we're going to investigate one last story. This building over here is our oldest government building on the East Coast. This is the powder magazine of Charleston. Okay, it was finished in 1713. And remember I told you the Charlestown wall came up Cumberland Street? Mm-hmm. So it stopped about half a block past the powder magazine. So it's literally right in the corner of it. Reason for that is we're 3 blocks away from the water. If it were to get attacked, it has sand in the roof from 1712, it's still there, original sand, and 32-inch thick walls. So if a cannonball were to hit that, keep in mind those cannonballs were anywhere between 2 to 10 pounds, depending on what type of ship it was. The blast would be contained. So there was gunpowder inside, 4 cannons and rifles, obviously. So again, just keeping everything safe. It's never been attacked. However, it did serve in 7 different wars. During this time period of this thing being built, there was a young lady that moved here with her dad. It's the only tie we have to this ghost in the building. It's the same time period. So about 1708, 1709, she moved here from Ireland with her dad. She was the illegitimate child of her father's maid. So he got away from his wife, picked up his mistress and child, and moved to Charleston. When they get here, obviously this was being built, she turns into a teenager. We have pirates coming through town. She falls in love with the pirate that comes through town. His name is James Bonney. So she becomes Anne Bonney because she married him against her father's will down in Jamaica. However, James Bonney did not turn out to be the pirate she wanted him to be. She wanted somebody pretty badass. He wasn't it. He was kind of a coward. Why? Because he was a privateer for the British. Which basically means he was spying on his own men to report back to Port Royal. So, what happens is she falls in love with another pirate by the name of Calico Jack. Calico Jack is an up-and-coming, very handsome pirate. He just got his first ship, and she wants to be part of it. She has to dress like a guy to be part of it, but obviously she's in love with this guy, so she's allowed to be female in his quarters only. During this time, she gets pregnant. He drops her off in Cuba with some friends to deliver the baby to continue hiding her gender so she could be part of the crew. Women on ships back then, bad luck. Just superstition.
Yeah.
So, she comes back to the ship dressed like a female. She doesn't give a shit anymore about hiding her gender. She's like, I'm a woman, hear me roar kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she comes on, and during the time that she was gone, Calico Jack captured another ship, and he had prisoners down below deck. So he's not paying attention to her like he should be. There's no baby, by the way. We have no idea what happened to that baby.
Oh, wow, damn.
So we don't know if the baby stayed, we don't know if the baby lived, we don't know. I'm talking about filthy pirates that were down in Jamaica. God knows what happened.
Right.
So, anyway, she starts flirting with one of those prisoners. Because Calico Jack's not paying attention to her. So that prisoner turns out to be doing the exact same thing that she was doing before she got pregnant. She was a female.
Oh,
pretending
damn.
to be a man. So she reveals her gender. The two become friends. She convinces her to become part of the crew. Everything is all well. Now, they did a lot of capturing of other ships, which meant most of the other pirates were down below deck guarding these prisoners. They get attacked by the Port Royal. British ship comes rolling in, starts attacking the ship. Anne Bonney and Mary Read were the only two that came above deck to fight because the other ones were all drunk down below. So obviously the ship gets captured because it's 2 women against the British Army, British Navy rather. So they get captured. All the pirates that were below deck get tried and hung pretty quickly. About a week later, it's Anne and Mary Read's turn because they were kind of feisty. So they decided they're going to try them separately because there was a lot more charges. So they try them a week later. Then they reveal their genders. They're both female. So they're like, okay, we're still going to convict you as pirates and you're still going to hang. Well, we're pregnant. Okay, guess we're going to delay your hanging. So that's kind of how that went down. Well, Dad here in Charleston still has money from Ireland. So he's able to bail her out. So what we know of Anne Bonney is she came back to Charleston, remarried, had plenty of children, and died at the age of 84. That's all we know. I've read plenty of books on this woman, trying to figure out like where all the holes fill in and the gaps. There's a lot. Mary Read allegedly died in jail from whatever pirates get while you're in a Jamaican jail. So take that for what it's worth. What we are here to do is you kind of look at this as a class. So I started you off very basic. What color is the barn? Then I kind of gave you suggestive questions at the Pinckney Mansion. It's like, here, ask whatever you want to. I don't have all the answers. I'm still learning it myself. Things start to pop up about piracy, or the name of the boat comes up, or Anna Mary's name come up, or her father's name comes up, her mother's name comes up. That's where I come into play. So we're gonna get close to it, see what we can capture, maybe go check out the front. We're great all the time. I honestly, this is one of those tours where I don't care how much time we take. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but I never will look at my watch once. Earthquake bolts. So those crosses that you see on that building are not crosses. They are earthquake bolts. Do you know what those are?
Yeah, I think we took a tour earlier. They were telling us how, they had to put them through to keep the building up. And,
right.
Yeah.
So after our big earthquake in 1886, it became a scare. That was actually our first set of earthquake bolts that were installed in Charleston. So you'll see how big and crude they are.
So they're so much more bigger
than the other ones. Yeah.
Well, there's actually earthquake bolts on the apartment building behind it.
Oh yeah, I see it. The square ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're square. From here they kind of blend in, but I like to show that off, before, because some of my people, they're not exactly ghost people. They enjoy the history, so it's kind of like I like to give them all the little tidbits. Like, look at this is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And this is what we did.
Right.
But if you see
I definitely wouldn't have thought that was that.
Yeah.
Like it looked like two crosses. Like
you're right.
Never thought that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, I picked up that these were the first earthquake bolts from another tour that was walking by. I heard him. So, I'm like, I'll take that. That actually works.
Thank you.
The funny thing, ladies, is that I'm not licensed. Like, all these guys that you see walking around and they have that little tag hanging around, I'm not licensed.
Wow.
Charleston changed their laws. I've read the damn book. I could take the test. I use it for a reference now.
Yeah.
But the company that I started with, it was just one other guy, and he owned an umbrella company. And his whole thing was he wanted guys like me that did something way different than the standard sport. And he didn't want them to be licensed, so he can fight for it. Look how well these people are doing.
Right.
I was the only one. But I broke away in January. And started, his Stories in the Cemetery is mine to begin with anyway. It was just underneath his company umbrella. So, but at any rate, I'm not licensed.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice it was so many back in the distance.
Oh no, I didn't see them on the top. Oh goodness, I only see the bottom line.
I can only see the bottom.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like
and you can notice even on this building, I'm not exactly sure what all of that was. I probably need to look into it, but you could see the outline of what the building used to be. Did you see the roof line?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That spirit box. Let's see what we can catch out of there. Is it still running?
Yeah.
Good. Let's give us a little bit of volume and let's see what we can capture here. Ask whatever you want to. This party's on you. Let's see what I got.
And what's her name again?
Annie.
Ann.
Ann. You got a question?
Rebel.
Nothing else makes sense. Oh, we talked about the storm from Nettie Dickerson. We'll take that.
Alright, so I got a question. And what happened to your first child?
Yep.
The biggest news in music.
Jeremiah.
I heard that.
I've had Save My Child come up here before.
Wow.
I've had Ann's name come up here before. I've had Calico come up here before.
And did you do something to your child?
Cinco. Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
That's in Spanish.
Yeah, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. That's five, yeah.
And can you tell us where you gave birth to your first child? What country you were in? So this is also a place that's kind of dead here. So when I do get something, it's exciting. It's not the Pinckney Mansion site for sure. So if something does pop up, I'm usually pretty stoked. Like, hell yeah. Something. Come on, Ann. That was weird.
What was that? I don't know.
It sounded like, what was that like?
Yeah.
But without headphones, that was a weird voice. And I'll get disembodied voice.
Yeah, that didn't sound like a...
Definitely didn't sound like a radio voice.
No.
It was canceled.
It was canceled.
What happened to your baby? It was canceled. So I'm going to guess at this point, the baby didn't make it.
Website not failed.
The Lansing for. Turn it down just for her. I don't like to disrupt the other tours.
Absolutely, I get it.
With that also being said, I'm usually the noisy group. They're getting used to me now. But I do take a lot of their business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can see how large this group is. Like, I won't do that. Like up to 20, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So even like my group last night at 10, they still had all my attention like what you guys have had tonight. You know, and we've just been chit-chatting.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's supposed to feel. It shouldn't feel like I'm reciting a book
Right.
to you. Boom.
That's pretty crazy.
I'll take it. And last night it came up with Anna. And I'm like, Ann, good attempt. You gotta spell your name properly.
Right. That's pretty crazy.
But we're gonna take that. And it's still spelled wrong. But it's A-N-N-E.
Yeah.
There's an E at the end. So I'm still going to take that because the pronunciation is correct.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of times Eliza's daughter will come through and her name is Harriet. And Harriet comes up spelled incorrectly because that's what's inside the library of this app.
Got you.
So, and again, you guys will actually have the all the list of all this stuff, but I have the paid version of this app. It has 9,000 words in there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So the free version only think has like 2, maybe 2,300, something like that. So I was like, I'll pay $2 if I can use it every night on my tours to get it bigger. But I have another phone set up with it. I don't use this anymore unless it's a smaller group. I give it out. So that way, I don't even know what the list is until the next morning.
Yeah.
It's more fun for me that way. Plus, I get to interact with everybody more. But I'm going to definitely take that.
That's
exciting.
absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, Ann, so technological. So, Ann, I want you to tell me who else was with you. Who's the other female? What was your friend's name? You can turn up the hair, looks like they're leaving. And we're looking for your friend's name, the female choice. I heard Ann again on there. And we've seen your name come up on the box I'm holding. Can you tell me the name of your female friend that was aboard the Kingston with you? Competition. Again, nothing I can prove, but we can make conversation out of that.
Absolutely.
Bye.
I want to step away.
Go ahead, Rick.
So it's cool from the website. You can right-click it and download the file.
Yeah, this is pretty dope, though.
They stay on my website forever. But
yeah, of course.
as long as I can do that.
I know.
Come on, give me something like Below Deck.
Right.
Give me something a little bit more. You okay?
Talking on your spit. The vape. That damn vape.
I thought you were blaming me for a second. Like, I haven't smoked this whole time.
No. We smoke vape.
Oh.
And the thing is, like, we've been both coughing like crazy because of this stupid ass vape. I told her the other night, I said, look, God got to make this stop. We got to quit smoking this shit.
I've been vaping now probably 8 years.
Yeah.
I just started.
It's hard to start.
I just started. Like,
I smoked 2 packs a day before.
wait a minute, they sell them different?
No,
2 packs of cigarettes.
Oh, for the vape. Okay, so with the one vape, how long does it usually take you?
To get off the cigarettes?
Well, no, to actually smoke a whole vape.
Well, it depends on what kind he has.
Oh, okay.
You have the ones so you can.
Yeah.
See, I don't know about the ones that we
I have
have.
Nick salt too.
Yeah,
So.
we do. Like I have like a
The ice.
the Novo too, and then we do
That's
like
where my
the
CBD
disposables.
Yeah,
So
so I have the Novo with the CBD in it for my seizures.
Yeah.
And then like, I use this guy.
Oh, you got something like that, ain't it, babe?
yeah, that's what
Community
smart.
service in
Yeah. So, but I use Nick salt in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's more potent with the nicotine.
Yeah,
But I will fill this
that's like
3
a
times a day.
better.
That's a better version of what you
version
got.
of my gold.
Cause the
They
one
made
that
even a better one now.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't our upgrade.
how does it taste though? Cause the one that she has, like the taste is off as shit.
Yeah. So these will burn up pretty quickly. So with every bottle, I can't put in the bottle. So by the end of a bottle, it's pretty crispy. So it's not so hard to put on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can get burnt things.
Yeah.
Burnt toast. But
Yeah.
But honestly, like I can go through 1 coil per bottle. So that's about
That's good.
Yeah.
From what I had before with some of the models, that's why I had the like the Novo, because I was tired of the coils and all of that, and I just like the fact that you can just throw the cartridge away, get it in the car. Yeah, it was just a little more convenient for me.
Yeah.
But that one does give you like a better hit than
Yeah.
But yeah, I keep a Novo. I keep that one in the car procedure because it has nothing. It's straight through.
I've always wanted to try the CBD. I'm always just scared.
What?
The CBD juice.
How you scared? You did the THC thingy.
Because like it's expensive. Like
Oh.
the CBD juice, like it can be anywhere from $40 to $60.
Oh damn.
And, right, and so I would hate to buy something and I don't feel any type of
So
relief
the easiest way to
or
like
calmness.
if I get because I have like the bottle I'm using now is blueberry. So if I have a blueberry flavor in this guy, I'll actually put 1 to 2 drops in this tank and keep it running so it just stays in the system.
Okay.
So that way I don't get that weird mix of flavors.
Yeah.
And it's just in small doses, and I go way high on the CBD.
And that's what I was skeptical of, like what dosage would work for me, and then I would hate to spend like $50 on some juice, and I'm like,
just try
this is nothing, you know. So,
Try tinctures. Tinctures are less expensive, and it's almost like a drop of the tongue, and it gives you a gist of how potent you need to go into your vape.
right, okay.
So, and again, it's just a drop.
Yeah.
And the tinctures don't taste as good, but at least you get the dose.
Right.
So,
What's this one?
trading. Does that make sense? Pirates? Old trading? Trading up on husbands.
Okay.
Doing.
Okay.
3 or 4 cards.
Okay, you was out here just wilding out, you know?
Well, technically, we don't know that her and Mary were ever lovers.
I was gonna ask that.
And a lot of people do. That's why I
Yeah.
say, like, this is your show. You want to
Yeah.
ask questions? I taught you how
I
to.
thought about that.
And
Yeah.
most people do. There's speculation in almost every story that I read that it could have happened that way. That they could have been lovers.
Right.
But if you think about it, we're talking if Mary was a lover too, we're talking 4 people that she actually fell in love with.
Yeah.
So the last one, obviously not a pirate, and we don't even know who he is.
Right.
The low, we'll take
There
it.
we go. That's what she met her.
The low deck.
Yeah.
That's what I asked for before, right?
You did. You did. Much.
From a leading financial.
And was you in love with the other pirate? Oh, was she a pirate?
Yeah, Mary.
Yeah.
She was an illegitimate child too.
Oh.
She had a rough life too. They had a lot in common, just different. Like Mary was from the States, whereas Anne was from Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah.
And came from a little money.
Okay.
Dad was an attorney over there. And he had maids and servants over there. So. It's funny, her mother's name is Mary too. Again, there's always that, like the George piece over Charles is
Gotcha.
3 Charles pink names, for God's sake. I have a hard time keeping them straight. I'm gonna let this run just to get another word or 2 out of it. I'm gonna get you guys my card,
Yeah, please.
so that way you guys can kind of check out the website ahead of time. It has all my contact info on there too, so when you guys do find extra evidence, you have a way to get it.
Okay.
So, Hate them. When this mask thing first started,
Yeah.
I couldn't even do it.
Yeah,
I canceled tours because I was gagging.
Yeah. It was pretty difficult. Now it's just a part of life.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, you kind of used to it.
In a sense,
I
yeah.
had a trip to Universal. I just told you. I did a trip to Universal right after Christmas, and of course it's masked up all the time.
Yeah, of course.
And Universal, because it's more adult theme park, those break areas, and smoke areas. So every hour I'm like, I need a break.
I need a break now. I need a break now.
I actually did get sick while I was there because I had the mask on too long.
Oh wow.
So it was right before getting on the Hogwarts Express, and my father-in-law looked at me. He's like, "You cool?" I'm like, "No,
Not at all. Thanks for asking.
I don't do rides." He's like, "This ain't a ride, dude. It's a train. Like, calm your ass down. Like, you're fine."
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's.
Well, I definitely appreciate all of this today. You said we'll get it by tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm usually done by noon.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna try to do all of it tonight, and then just text you bright and early.
Okay.
And that way you could just forward her the link too.
Oh, well, we better go, so we'll have that.
And then like I said, I'm gonna try to get it all done tonight because I got some homework I gotta catch up on.
And I only took it off once.
Awesome. Yeah, that won't take too long. So I already texted the wife like, I'm doing the data tonight, and she's just like.